All right, welcome to Ministry Matters. I have an awesome, amazing special guest on the show. She's never done a podcast before, but she is the most special person on the planet to me, and that is my beautiful wife, Jennifer Monhe. Babe, how does it feel to be on Ministry Matters?
Well, my first time being on here.
Yeah. Are you nervous being on a podcast?
A little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, because once it's on the internet, you can't take it back, just so you know. So be careful.
Uh-oh.
Don't snitch on me, babe. But, I threw a question online about how we were going to go live. And the question is lots of people think because I am a pastor that maybe my wife is a pastor too. And I think the question came to mind because I was talking about my parents on last Sunday and how they were both ordained into the ministry. But in our case, when they ordained me into the ministry 20 years ago, they took me up in front of the congregation and they brought you next to me and they prayed for us both. But does that mean that Jennifer Monhe is a pastor?
Nope.
No.
Definitely does not.
Yeah. And I know that there are couples out there that they're both pastors, like Pastor James Ranger, Pastor Lydia, right? Pastor Guy, Pastor Ashley. They are both pastors, but not everybody's like that. Pastor Josh Vietti and Ashley, she's not a pastor, right? But I think there is something pretty special that the audience should know about you. And there is a reason why they bring you up and you get prayed for the same day we get prayed for. And I just want to make clear, if God called her to the ministry to be a pastor, what would you be, babe? If God called you to the ministry, what would you be?
That's a good question. I don't know because he hasn't called me.
Right. So it's like, and that's the thing, like you got to be called to this thing. It's not like you fill out an application, you go through the motions. Like to be a pastor is to be called by God into it. And I did not seek to be a pastor. And you know that because when they said, we want you to be the pastor, you're like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, that's their plan. What did you think when I first got called to the ministry? Like, were you excited? What did you think? Like, bad idea, good idea?
I would have to say I really wasn't sure at the time.
Yeah.
I thought good and bad things about it.
What was the good thing? We won't talk about the bad things.
Well, the good thing is that you would be doing what God wanted you to do, and you would be helping others and bringing them closer to God.
Well, you could tell them the bad too. What was something that you thought could be bad?
Finances.
Oh gosh.
Financial stuff.
Yeah, because I think that's real. Like to be in the ministry is not a guarantee in finances. Like you're not going to make, well, some guys make $1 million, but I don't know if they were really called to the ministry in the first place. But yeah, it's not a money making machine, 100%. So that's a good point though, Ben. What do you think? Like, because you tried through New Life, you joined Pathways, and what did you find out while you were in there? Because that is kind of a journey to be a pastor, right?
Yeah, I guess it is. There's some things that I learned in there that I didn't know, and I really liked it, and I would continue it. But God had called me to seek a different path, so He kind of set me on a whole different direction. And I think that doing that class maybe kind of made me be able to hear from God in that instance.
And what way where did God send you?
He told me that I was going to have a new career path and that it's in registered nursing.
Wow. And just so you know, what did you do for over 20 years? Like over 20 years, the whole time I've been in ministry and then we've been married, pretty much you've done this other thing. What was it?
Pet grooming. I've groomed Dosh for over 24 years professionally, and over 20 of those years I was self-employed.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So she was a dog grooming machine for all those years. And
Half the
listen,
years.
like I thought for sure too, when I first got into ministry, I really did believe maybe you were going to be a pastor too. I thought it, like it crossed my mind many times, like, I'm pretty sure she's called to this too. And the reason I say that is because there was tons of times where I was at my lowest point and you were the only person to pull me out.
Mhm.
Like, so I was like, for you to have that kind of a gift, maybe God is calling you in.
Mm,
Did you ever think God would call you to go to school again and give up that career of dog grooming?
no, I never thought in a million years that I would ever go to college.
Yeah.
Ever.
What helped you like get to that point where you just said, okay, God, is if that's what you want for me, I'm going for it.
Well, I know that when God puts something in you, He gives you that passion for it and just makes you pursue it.
Mhm. How did your pursuit start? Because you were in, because we, just so you know, for the record, we had just invested a whole lot of money on your business
Yes.
and we had bought a new van. So we're thinking like this is like our
Yeah.
business for at least 10 more years. So when you came to me and like, I think God's calling me out of this, I was like, are you sure? But what did God do to like get you to that point?
No, He just kept showing me different things. And when I was sitting in church and He spoke to me that I see big change coming for the new year, I just focused and prayed on that. And He showed me that it was the path of going to college, becoming a
Wow.
registered nurse.
That's awesome. So hopefully in the next couple of years, you will be a registered nurse.
I'm sure I will.
But I do want to dive back into like the statement about when I was at my lowest low point and you were the one to rescue me. Because I think that is one of the things that most people don't think about as pastors' wives is like, it's not like a CEO of a company, right? A CEO of a company, usually the wife is like the first lady or what, you know, they kind of have a role that's in there that includes them kind of in the power position, right? You never want to make the CEO's wife angry at you. But a pastor's wife is a little different, right?
Mhm.
Because you're like right next to me in the battlefield. And sometimes you're going to take hits and it's not up to you to attack back, you know? It's more like up to me to defend you or
Mhm.
to take that hit and say, no, don't do that, you know? And I would say, what helped you during those hardest times to like pick me up? I'll give you guys an example. This is like, because I was just talking to the Battle Bros about this, how I had crushed my ankle. I was trying to do something philanthropical and I crushed my ankle. And for whatever reason, I was on the couch. I remember the day and I was in so much pain and depression had taken over me. And I allowed it to take over me because I just sat there in the pain and the misery. I had some things fall through in the ministry at the same exact time. And I hadn't taken a shower in a while. And I remember you walked up to me and you said, babe, I think you need to take a shower. And I was just like, it caught me off guard because I wasn't ready for it. And I go, all right, I guess I need to take a shower because I stink and now you can smell me, right? But you dropped a curveball on me and you said, I'm gonna bathe you. Like, I'll wash you. And I was like, my perverted mind, you know, took over at that point. And I thought, all right, she's going to wash me. But I remember, and I just told this story is so fresh in my mind because I just told the guys this. And I was in the shower, I was sitting in the chair and you wrapped my leg all up so it wouldn't get infected with water and you washed me. And I remember just weeping. Like I was crying, because it was like how much love it must have took for you to go and wash me. And I don't know, that rocked me that day because I seen you in a whole nother realm. What helps you get to that point to where you can help me that way, you know?
God, for sure, being in my life helps me to see the need in people and to be able to help them in whatever way it is that they need, whether it be emotional, physical, or
Well, not people. I don't care about them. I'm talking about me.
for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and because like most people think that our pastors, we don't get to these low places, but we do. And our wives are the ones that rescue us. So, like, what inspired you to do that rescue? Like, what gets you to the point where you can rescue me?
Well, God tells me.
That simple, huh?
He tells me and he guides me.
That's awesome. What other stuff does he guide you to do besides rescuing me on my darkest day?
Reaching out to people,
Okay. How do you do that?
calling them or texting them, seeing how they're doing, um, hanging out with friends, and yeah.
Hmm. That's good. All right. So we're going to do our question. We skipped a bunch of stuff. I usually start with this question. Are you ready? What are you most thankful for right now?
I am thankful that I'm going to college and that I'm doing good.
Oh, yeah. Tell the audience because they don't know what your grades are.
Well, I got 2 A's so far my
Wow.
last spring semester, and this summer I got a B in my medical terminology.
That's awesome. Man.
So, yeah, and this coming semester is going to be my hardest semester. I got a lot of hard classes.
You'll crush it, babe. You'll crush it. You'll crush it. All right. So, what is your biggest challenge right now?
My biggest challenge is not working
Oh,
because
yeah.
I've been so used to working since I've
Yeah.
been married all the time. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's a very busy person, even when she's not working. So, yeah, I see that. I definitely see that. As I think for me, I am most thankful for right now is just your company. Like, God, I think God reminded me of that story, to be honest, because like I had forgotten. And then the guys, I don't even know what we were talking about in the Bible study, but I almost cried thinking about it. But I'm very thankful for your company. And what is hard is just not being $1 million pastor. It would be
Gosh.
so much easier. If somebody just walked up and said, "Listen, Adrian, I got $1 million for all your ministry ideas."
Oh my gosh.
That would make life so much simpler. But that's not how it works. Then it wouldn't require any faith at all. I'd just go and do stuff. So I am grateful for that faith that it requires. Like, what are some of the things, like we have rules, just so you know, in the ministry that we kind of established from the beginning? What's some of the stuff that we do or that you feel we do that help us stay connected, even though the ministry is like constantly pulling us apart, Because, like, I'll give you guys an example. You sit with your wife and kids on Sunday. Where does the pastor sit? When does he get to sit with his wife and kids? Like, most people don't think about that stuff, and it's actually a healthy thing to do it. So, like, in the very beginning, we made a rule, remember? And what's our rule on Sunday?
That we sit together.
One service.
One service, yes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, that was super hard in the beginning of the ministry. Like, because we had two or three little kids at the time. No, two. We had two. We had Valerie and Maribel. And our service started at 11, but thank God VBF had an 8 a.m. service at the time. So we would go to VBF at 8 a.m. and sit together. And then we would go to our campus and then we would preach and minister. Yeah. And we've still kept that rule. No matter what, we've managed to get one service in together. It's very rare that we don't sit together on Sundays.
Mhm.
But yeah, what's another rule that you think helps us stay together?
Mm, I would say spending time together, making time, like setting it apart
What do you mean?
purposefully to spend time with each other,
Like how?
like going out on dates.
She likes date night.
Yes, I do. Or just any quality time together, whatever it may be. Me chasing you on my scooter
Oh yeah.
while you're bicycling.
I think you just like the view. That's what I'm thinking. No, I think like the quality time together outside of the ministry makes the time we spend together in the ministry better. Like for sure. I love my favorite question that Jennifer asked me whenever we're out or like I've got an important event to go to is, do you want me there? I'm just like, she already knows I want her there. Like it's a big deal. But she'll always ask me, are you sure you want me there? I swear it's like an English accent comes over. Are you sure, darling? Do you really want me there? Right? But it's like I think it's good though, because I will tell you, yes, I want you there. Because you need that reminder, just like I need it, that I need you there. Not that I just want you there.
Yep.
What do you see as like something in the ministry that has benefited our kids? This is all top secret stuff, just so you know.
That has benefited our kids.
Yeah,
I would
from
say
me being in the ministry and you being in the ministry.
watching us walk together through the ministry.
Oh, explain that. The audience doesn't know what that means.
Like when we sit together at church, making sure that we make that point to sit together through one service. They see us when we communicate with others, and how we reach out to others in the church and help them. I know that inspires our kids when they see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Do you think like because we're in the ministry, we're going to have perfect kids?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No.
I will tell you,
not.
we will not have perfect kids.
But we have really good kids.
Yeah, we are definitely blessed. Like our kids in the very beginning of our ministry, like some people complain because, oh, my kids at church all day. Man, my kids used to show up on Sunday and they would do the setup, breakdown. I would go and clean the restrooms. They would sweep the corners and vacuum. I mean, those kids, even in the last years of our church that we had together, I remember those kids like putting in so much work to like support the ministry. Like even when we moved, like we felt like God called us to go to VBF. Like God was like, okay, I need you guys to go here. And we had that conversation with the kids. You remember what their response was?
No, I don't.
Okay. You remember like them going, no, we're not going.
No, they didn't do that.
Oh, yeah. They didn't do that at all.
No.
In fact, like even when
I know they were supportive.
Yeah, we told them like we felt God had called us to like go somewhere else, not VBF. We didn't know exactly where it was going to be. And the kids responded the same exact way. You remember what that was? No?
No, I forget.
I do. I remember. Because their response was, Dad, wherever God's calling you to go, we'll go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We have this big old white van and we're all in the van. And I remember it like it was our last day at VBF. And I told them like, kids, I don't know where God wants us to go next. Like I have a blank. And they're like, wherever God wants us to go, Dad, we're going. And I was like, it's awesome. And that's how you are, babe. Like wherever God has called me, you've always been like, I'm going with you. What's the
even when it's hard.
yeah, what's the biggest like controversy you've had to face as a preacher's wife?
Oh, controversy.
Yeah, like what's something that was hard, super hard as a preacher's wife?
I would say when you were pastoring the church, and I, it was a Spanish church, so what was hard for me is I didn't feel that connection
Hmm.
because I didn't communicate the same, and I wasn't the same as all the other ladies in the church. So there
I
was
mean, you do look a little different. Brown,
a
not so brown.
so that one was a little difficult.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I think that is like I really I didn't know it was that big of a difference until we had left that church. And
Mhm.
when I realized how rejected some people had made you feel, I just went on a rampage of like every church we visited, like if they ignored you, I ignored them. I was like, they would run up to me, hey, Pastor Adrian. And if they didn't acknowledge you, I was like, they don't exist. Like, they're not in my world anymore. They just deleted themselves. Because I think that's a reality. Sometimes people focus so much on the pastor, they forget that the pastor always has an awesome wife there supporting him. Like, if you think your pastor's really awesome,
Mhm.
there's probably another person right next to him that's just as awesome,
Yep,
even if she's not a pastor.
I still get it the same way.
Yeah. What do you think is like the biggest adversary right now in marriages? Because
Mm,
you do premarital counseling with me,
mhm.
and we do that with couples before we do their weddings. What do you think is like the hardest thing they've been facing lately in marriages?
Communication.
Huh? How so?
Not communicating with each other, not taking that time to spend together to communicate what's going on in their daily lives. Because if you have two people doing two separate, totally different things, that communication can break down if you're not making that time to come together.
Yeah, yeah. And how many times do we go on a date?
We try to go at least once a week.
And sometimes that includes date night and some lunch dates.
Mhm.
We don't post all of our date nights or lunch dates because I get messages of angry husbands
Yeah.
going, man, you're messing it up for me. I'm like, hey, it's all right, man. It's all right. But yeah, I think I love that too because when we have been together since I was 15. Do you remember my first moment in ministry that you got to witness?
Was when you gave your testimony for the first time.
How old was I?
Mm, I think you were 16,
I was 15.
15. Okay.
Yeah. I think. No, maybe I was
I think you were
16. I
16.
was 16. You're right. I was going to be 17.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just so you know, that was the first time I met her. And it was at New Life Church.
Yes.
Remember that?
Mhm.
And she was sitting next to somebody. We won't say who that was. But I remember seeing you and just going like, Jennifer is way hotter than that girl. And I went on a date with you that Friday, and we started dating after that.
Mhm.
Yeah, we
A
met
long
it.
time.
Yeah, so we've been together because we've been married 24 years, and I've
Mhm.
been in the ministry over 20 years now. But yeah, I'd never forget that day because I really felt like when I came off the stage that day, like God gifted me a hot woman. That's what I thought. Like I thought for sure he gifted me
Mhm.
a wife. That's what I was thinking because I had given my testimony ever, and that was like, okay, God's like, you give me your time, I'm gonna give you something that's even more awesome. What do you think about the men's ministry I do?
I think it's great. I think you're leading a lot of men and creating strong family foundations through that.
Do you think I get a little carried away sometimes?
Sometimes. Sometimes you're a little.
I will tell you, sometimes I do get a little wound up because I have to
Mhm.
hear some very horrible stories sometimes.
Yeah.
And like I tell Jennifer, like I've taken in so much poison some days that I just can't take the reality of, how good my life is.
And I have
And
to say, calm down.
yeah, yeah. Tell them what you tell me, babe. Calm down.
Yes. Calm down.
Yeah. And it's just like there's so much controversy about marriage and what it should be. And it does tear me up sometimes. And it
Mhm.
it hurts me. Like it literally hurts me because I hope
Mhm.
for everybody that they could have an awesome marriage and that things would be great. But that's not how it always works out.
Mhm.
And sometimes I have to hear the worst of it.
Yeah.
How have you built relationships in the ministry as I'm out there? How does it feel to know Lydia and James Ranger?
Oh, great. I love them. I love them so much. They're some amazing people.
I kind of blame you for us being at New Life.
Probably.
For the record, Jennifer was always saying, let's go to New Life.
Yes.
And I was like, not till the Lord calls me, babe.
Always.
It
Well,
was
that
fun.
was our church where we met
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
many years ago, and I was saved there too.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
When did that happen?
In the youth group. Before I met you, I had gotten saved, gave my life to God.
How old were you then?
I was probably about the same age. I think it was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, or I was 15. I don't remember. It was right around that time period.
Okay. So you had roots there. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
That is good. I knew that. I was just saying it for the audience. So if you had one thing that you'd want the audience to know about being a preacher's wife, like what would be your warning and what would be like encouragement if there is a preacher's wife out there watching right now?
Well, it's not easy. You have to deal with some things that you see and hear, and your husband has to deal with, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What would be your word of encouragement though?
And my word of encouragement would be that there is an opposite side to that too. You get to see many beautiful things happen, like people getting saved, or marriages being healed, or bringing marriages together. So, yeah, that's a great benefit.
Yeah. I think too the one of the biggest benefits of like doing ministry together is like my wife doesn't need to be a pastor to do the ministry that she does.
Nope.
And I think that's where a lot of people mess up is they get caught up in that title and they want it because of the position, but not because of the calling. And I love that about you is that you have served like
Mhm.
she serves in the children's ministry. She doesn't have to serve at all because of the work that she does with me, but I just like I'm blown away every time I see you out there, babe, with the people, and I'm proud of where you're headed and where God has called you because I think you're going to be an awesome nurse.
I
Like,
help lots of people.
yeah, I think you're going to be like the secret weapon in the hospitals.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know Jesus? I can introduce him to you right now.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for watching. Once again, my beautiful wife, Jennifer Mona, thank you for being on the show, babe. Have a blessed day, guys.